From an incredibly simple interface with just a single button to an advanced photo and video tool powered by real-time artificial intelligence. Let's take a look at how the camera app interface has evolved across every version of iOS. In 2007, the first iPhone introduced many innovations, including a 2-megapixel camera. The camera app interface was extremely simple. There was no video recording, no zoom, no filters, and no special shooting modes. Just the viewfinder and a single shutter button, which featured a surprisingly detailed animation. One standout feature was the ability to view your photos directly from within the camera app, something that has remained a core part of the experience ever since. In iPhone OS 2, the camera app remained almost unchanged. Apple focused more on improving the overall stability of the operating system than on introducing new camera features. A major change arrived with the iPhone 3GS. For the first time, users could record videos directly from the camera app by switching between photo and video modes with a quick toggle. Autofocus was also introduced for the first time. With iOS 4, the camera app received a cleaner, more refined interface. Apple added 5x digital zoom, a button to enable or disable the LED flash, improved autofocus for both photos and videos, and for the first time, a button to switch between the front and rear cameras. With iOS 5, the camera app became accessible directly from the lock screen. The volume up button could now be used as a camera shutter, users gained a grid overlay for more precise composition, and HDR photography was introduced as well. iOS 6 introduced a camera app with darker accents and added Panorama mode, allowing users to capture ultra-wide photos by slowly moving the phone in a single direction. The real revolution came with iOS 7. Apple completely abandoned its skeuomorphic design language and introduced the flat interface we still recognize today. The camera app was completely redesigned, with swipe gestures used to switch between shooting modes. Live filters were introduced, along with square mode, which became incredibly popular at the time. iOS 8 added time-lapse mode, as well as the ability to adjust exposure before taking a photo. iOS 9 kept the overall interface largely unchanged, but introduced live photos, one of Apple's most iconic camera features. Photos were no longer completely static. They could now capture a few seconds of motion before and after the shutter was pressed. With iOS 10, the camera app received a subtle visual refresh. Apple also introduced portrait mode, which used the dual camera system to create a blurred background effect similar to what you'd get from a DSLR camera. With iOS 11, Apple introduced the HEF and HEVC formats, allowing photos and videos to take up less storage without any noticeable loss in quality. The camera app also gained the ability to scan QR codes automatically, eliminating the need for third-party apps. iOS 12 introduced Smart HDR, which combines multiple exposures to produce photos with significantly better dynamic range, contrast, and detail. iOS 13 brought several major improvements to the camera app. Alongside QuickTake, which lets users instantly start recording a video by pressing and holding the shutter button, Apple introduced night mode and more advanced photo and video editing controls. The interface was also updated to make the available zoom levels more visible, making it easier and more intuitive to switch between cameras. In addition, users gained greater control over portrait mode lighting, including the ability to adjust the intensity of the lighting effect. iOS 14 reorganized the camera app controls. For example, users could start recording a video by pressing the volume down button. Apple also added exposure compensation directly to the interface, introduced exposure lock, and moved several camera settings into a quick access menu for easier control. iOS 15 took advantage of the new camera hardware by introducing macro mode on supported iPhone models, allowing users to capture incredibly close-up photos without any additional accessories. Apple also expanded the available camera settings and customization options, while adding support for shooting in Apple ProRAW. With iOS 16, the camera experience was enhanced by the Photonic engine, delivering better low-light performance and more natural colors without any major interface changes. This version also introduced iCloud Shared Photo Library, allowing families and friends to create a shared photo library where everyone could add, edit, and manage photos together. Another new feature was live text in camera, which lets users instantly recognize and translate text directly through the camera viewfinder. In iOS 17, the camera app interface remained largely unchanged. However, Apple improved the camera leveling feature by separating it from the grid option, giving it its own dedicated setting and expanding it to include horizontal level guidance for straighter, more accurately aligned photos. iOS 18 continued refining the camera app while laying the groundwork for AI-powered features, delivering a faster and smarter photography experience. It also brought several practical camera improvements, including a more advanced night mode with smarter exposure times, better photo and video stabilization, and an enhanced Smart HDR system that handles highlights and shadows more effectively. Apple introduced quicker controls for changing photo resolution and file format directly within the Camera app, while image processing became noticeably faster thanks to both software and hardware optimizations. After years with very few interface changes, iOS 26 delivers the biggest Camera app redesign since iOS 7. Apple introduces the new liquid glass design language, reduces the number of visible controls, and puts a stronger focus on keeping the viewfinder as clean as possible. The most noticeable change is the simplified switch between photo and video modes, while most controls are now hidden inside gesture-based menus, creating a more minimalist experience. In iOS 27, the Camera app becomes both smarter and simpler. Integration with the next generation of Siri and Apple Intelligence enables object recognition, text detection, real-time translation, and contextual suggestions directly through the camera, transforming it from a simple photography tool into a powerful visual assistant. The Camera app also becomes customizable. Users can choose which controls they want to display and where they appear within the interface. Over the past 2 decades, the Camera app has evolved alongside the iPhone itself. In the beginning, its purpose was simple: let you take a photo as quickly as possible. Today, that same app can capture professional quality images, record cinematic video, recognize objects, translate text in real time, and even understand the scene in front of you with the help of artificial intelligence. What's especially interesting is that, despite the huge increase in features, Apple has almost always stayed true to the same philosophy: keep the interface as simple as possible. Many advanced options have been moved into secondary menus or hidden behind gestures, allowing everyday users to open the app and start shooting instantly without being overwhelmed by dozens of buttons and settings. Now I'd like to hear your thoughts. What do you think about iOS 27 and the changes Apple has made to the Camera app? If you enjoyed this kind of video, make sure to subscribe to our channel, and if you give us a like and leave a comment, it really helps us out. Thank you.